Nick Scrip here over at Fantrax, talking about who should be selected as the number one pick in fantasy football for this coming season. Going to start by ruling out a couple of guys that could be candidates, but I would not select number one. Christian McCaffrey is going to split touches on the ground with Elijah Mitchell more than we want to. I think he's going to be awesome, but I think that's going to take away from his number one ceiling. We just had injury news pop up for Cooper Kupp. He dealt with injuries last year, so did Matthew Stafford. Travis Kelce was a man with boys last year when comparing him to the rest of the tight ends, but he was closer to the 10th best overall player than the first best. Great year for Austin Eckler through the air, but we now have Keenan Allen and Mike Williams healthy, and they added Quentin Johnston. There's a new offensive coordinator. The first candidate to go number one in your fantasy football leagues is Justin Jefferson. His rookie season back in 2020, he averaged 17.1 fantasy points per game and had 1,400 yards. 2021, he averaged 19.4 fantasy points per game and had over 1,600 yards. And then in 2022, he absolutely exploded. Number one in targets with 184, number one in routes run, number 7 in target share, number one in red zone targets. He had the most catches, the most receiving yards with 1,809. 21.7 fantasy points per game, ranked second. Absolute league winner. His connection with Kirk Cousins has been great. His opportunity and production has increased in every season. In 2023, he should see 165 plus targets, go over 1,500 receiving yards, and can be a candidate for double-digit touchdowns. And the other candidate to go number one in your fantasy football leagues, or should, Ja'Marr Chase. Rookie season, he averaged 17.9 fantasy points per game after being drafted 5th overall. He had 1,455 receiving yards in 2021, that rookie year. Unfortunately, he missed time in 2022. He played just 12 games. He actually had more targets, though, with 134 than he did in his rookie season. He saw 10-plus targets in 75% of his games played. He averaged the 4th most fantasy points per game with 20.2. Still eclipsed 1,000 receiving yards. And when looking at his connection to Joe Burrow, 31.42% of Joe Burrow's touchdowns the last 2 years have gone to Ja'Marr Chase. 23.18% of Joe Burrow's passing attempts the last 2 seasons have gone to Ja'Marr Chase, and he missed time last season. Another candidate to lead the league in receiving yards. Hot take, he can break the record this season. So if I have the number one pick in fantasy football for 2023, I'm either selecting Justin Jefferson or Ja'Marr Chase. 2 wide receivers that should see massive target volume. 2 of the most upside wide receivers in fantasy football. 2 of the best talents that came from the same school, former teammates. For me, they draw the least amount of question marks for this coming season. This is a Tier 1 selection.